Dear all, today the ones who choose to come forward are the so-called Arcturians. The one who speaks as of now, my name is Erpa, and I am a member of the Galactic Council. Welcome to all who have come across this channel, across the messages that are being recorded for this generation and those to come. Who are the Arcturians? In fact, who are these extraterrestrial forces that are becoming more visible as time goes on this earth? Yes, we have talked, we have spoken, we have been in contact, for humanity since its inception has always been in contact with us. However, it is only recently, say in the last 15, 20, yes, even 30 years, that our extraterrestrial knowledge has reached your ears in a variety of ways that would be acceptable and deemed of interest to mainstream humanity. What we will say before we introduce ourselves as Arcturians is we will give a short summary of what the difference is between the spiritual forces that are so often talked about in the spiritual community versus the extraterrestrial forces. Both are really simply beings and energies of an interdimensional nature. In fact, if you could look beyond the labels of extraterrestrial versus spiritual, angelic versus alien, you would probably see that we are simply all one family, all beings that manifest in different frequencies and in different visual as well as non-visual ways. What often has been deemed a difference between spiritual and non-spiritual is often tainted by old traditions based on fear, paradigms or doctrines that would like to separate individuals from each other, that would like to see separation as a way to see oneself as more special or more unique than the rest of the creation that exists beyond this world, inside this world, and in all these different dimensions. Oftentimes we come across the argument that ETs or aliens, if they were to exist, are simply demonic presences. This is very popular in the Western world and sometimes as well in the Eastern. The idea is whatever cannot be known must be evil. Whatever has not been recorded must be evil. But the reality is this: history is written by the winners. Only those who have gained the power or the resources to tell history in such a way that they maintain these powers and resources can keep the history alive in such a way that keeps humanity in ignorance and separation from itself and from its interdimensional brothers and sisters. Therefore, to those who say extraterrestrials and aliens, well, those must simply be demons in disguise. We say, but then would you not deem angels as demons were you to come face to face with one? Could you differentiate? Some would say, well, no, we would feel peace and joy in the face of an angel. But the reality is, most of your stories with angelic presences, yes, even in your Bible, speak of great fear coming upon those who face an angel, angelic forces, or God manifested in flesh. Therefore, we recommend a more humble approach of simply viewing everything that is untangible or unknowable as of current human understanding as an adventure, as something to be explored, experimented with, yes, even theorized about. Because the more you theorize, question things with healthy curiosity, and challenge things with an understanding that nothing is truly fixed and that change is the only constant, when you engage in that type of attitude, everything falls into place, and life no longer seems like this back and forth between good and evil, between your fight for your own life and survival of your species. All these have been stories that humanity has been told by those in power, by those who want to maintain the status quo, by those who choose to keep humanity in ignorance of its greater potential and its greater galactic spiritual family. Therefore, if you were to ask, well, does this mean that extraterrestrials intermingle with spiritual forces, such as angels, such as God, such as Jesus, no longer incarnate? We would say 100%. We are all family. We all interact with each other. We all are creators. We all are creation. We all are part of God. And therefore, we see each other in those ways. We know each other in those ways. We respect each other in those ways. Now, are there beings such as demons in the spiritual understanding of things, or evil extraterrestrial in the more metaphysical understanding of the worldviews? Are those things true? Are those individuals true beings that actually exist? And we would say yes, to a certain extent. But once again, all of this becomes neutralized as time goes by, and time itself is an illusion, as you know. And therefore, when we come forth with new knowledge, with new understandings that we bring to humanity for humanity to capture and understand, we do so with great excitement, because humanity has now gone beyond the old-fashioned, very compulsive and small-minded paradigms that have kept humanity in ignorance. You have now become even more curious than you have ever been. You have now become even more adventurous in how you think, in how you engage creatively with yourselves and your own identities. This is also why we see an increase in channelers, in psychics, and in mediums, because we are understanding that if we are all one, we have all access to each other. Are there ways to abuse this access and potentially put humans in danger, their hearts, their emotions, through manipulation, through even spiritual or metaphysical violence? Yes, those things do exist. However, they are far less frequent than you give them credit for. Just because this species has been based on survival and fear does not mean that the rest of the universe is based on these malevolent dynamics. No, in fact, most of it is not. However, the stories of war, galactic wars, spiritual wars, good versus evil, they are very prevalent in your mind's eye, and therefore are affirmed and confirmed in the things that you consume, see, or perceive. This is part of the reality creation that we will address at some other point throughout these posted videos. Now, going back to myself and the Arcturians. We Arcturians have come through several channels already. You may already see us manifested and speaking through individuals on YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, and all these other wonderful platforms that have connected humanity across time, space, and space-time. We will say that we Arcturians tend to be on the more serious intellectual side of extraterrestrial species, were you to take that name or paradigm. We consider ourselves more interdimensional than extraterrestrial, but we are happy to adopt and adapt to the terminology that is most comfortable to you. We come through in several different ways. If we come through as physical manifestations, we often appear as thin, maybe even lanky, and we vary in size between 3.5 feet to about 12, even 15 feet for the largest of us. Why do we appear in different bodily forms, or specifically bodily heights? It depends on what is most palpable and, call it, edible to the human we appear to. Whatever feels safest and most in alignment with what they believe an ET should look like is the way we like to appear. We are fluid in that sense and are not bound by height, not even by looks, although we do like to appear in shades of turquoise green, sometimes bluish gray, even sometimes silvery white, depending, once again, on what the preference is of the individual human who is asking to see us, wanting to see us, or perceiving us through their mind's eye. Another thing we like to be as Arcturians is, the word we find is scribe. We like to be the scribes of human history. We have been scribes of other histories and universes as well, but we thoroughly enjoy being scribes of the human history. We document everything that has happened in humanity so far since its inception. We are very proud of humanity's evolution, and we are very grateful that we are allowed to have the honor of writing down the histories that come with you and your evolution and the enlightenment processes that you go through on this university called Earth. The Arcturians are also very much present to speak to those individuals who, yes, might come across as a little shy, might come across as a little introverted, but are also heavily mind invested and very intellectual. We have great frequency connection with individuals who tick like that, who are wired like that. Now you may ask, does this mean that there are certain species of extraterrestrials or interdimensional beings that have better chemistry with other humans, that have other wirings, such as extroversion, such as creativity or artistic ability? And we say yes, 100%. Therefore, whichever extraterrestrial tribe or beings that you feel most attracted to, there's probably a high chance that you are embodying some sort of characteristic or personality trait that that specific ET race or commune is known for in the universal level. The other thing that comes across for us Arcturians is the question that humanity poses in terms of how many extraterrestrial beings are out there. Now, again, if we overlap extraterrestrial with spiritual and interdimensional, then the number is limitless. There are, however, a couple of more prominent extraterrestrial forces that are very much engaged with the human history. We would say between 8 and 15 are very much present with you as we speak now. Some in physical form, most in interdimensional form, accompanying those individuals who signed partnerships with them to bring forth more understanding of what these extraterrestrial forces are seeking on Earth and how we want to partner with humanity in its evolution. We Arcturians specifically hold a record of all these individual tribes, these individual communes, and all the partnerships and contracts that have been signed in the process. We would also like to state that the nature of extraterrestrial contact has been primed by many histories, many traditions, and most recently by the movie industry. While we are thankful for the priming, there has also been quite a bit of fear that has been mixed into the messaging and the stories told around extraterrestrial contact. There's a lot of emphasis on the more, call them evil or self-serving races that have come across humanity. And once again, while they do exist, they are far less frequent than you give them credit for. And the higher order of the galactic forces and the galactic rules are of great justice and balance, and therefore great evil cannot withstand for very long in any corner of the universe. It must submit to the balance and the justice of creational laws. These creational laws will also be explained more as you continue to watch these videos from this specific channel, or as you find other videos similarly inspired by other individuals on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc. Find those voices that you feel most comfortable with, that truly inspire you to be more curious, to see more of who you are, and to discover more of your identity as a human. The last message I want to leave you with as the Arcturian representative coming through in this channel in this very moment is that you are worth so much more than you give yourself credit for. And we wish that you could focus on your own self-worth through self-love more than the focus that you put on the current happenings on Earth, the chaos, the pain, the wars, the injustices. We understand that those are very painful and very real. However, once again, the more you focus on the evil things that are happening, the more energized they become. It is good to be informed. It is less good to be obsessed with the news, with the social media posts, with the injustices that happen. Try to focus on your more narrow field, your own narrow field of environment. Yes, if you are surrounded by, say, workplace injustices, and you feel great passion, empowerment, and courage, then maybe it is your role to step forward and to be on the frontier, to be that advocate. But maybe the only thing that you are surrounded with is scorched earth, dry patches of land that have not bloomed in years. Then plant plants, bring forth bloom, put in flowers, wildflowers. It is good to focus on what is around you, in your nearest environment, those who you love, those who love you back. It is good to pour good into more good, for that at some point will flip over, overturn the forces of darkness that have so clearly manifested themselves in the last couple of years, especially because you are so interconnected through the digital age. Once again, we are the Arcturian representatives. My name is Erpa, member of the Galactic Federation. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today. We look forward to more sessions and more clarification around how humanity works and how this world is wired. Much love to you. Goodbye.